365 app. This is Everett Fitzhugh, the radio voice of the NHL Seattle Kraken, and you're listening to the home of the Youngstown Phantoms, Western Reserve Radio.
On our boy Drake May. If Drake May's family's driving around, they're like, what did Drake do to those guys?
He's a great human being. We're just not sure he's the great quarterback.
He looks exactly like Trubisky and Howell. Like he's better than Trubisky.
In times of economic uncertainty and chaos, your money means nothing. You may not even be able to get it from your bank or ATM. And the money you do have in the stock market will go down and down. What you can bank on is gold and silver. Gold and silver have been a reliable and trusted form of currency for thousands of years. Gold and silver have never been worth zero, and typically gold holds its value during economic turmoil. Call the Gold Hotline now and learn how to protect your money and your assets with gold and silver. And learn how to set up a new IRA or roll over your current one into a gold-backed IRA. Protect your money from the next market crash with gold and silver. Call now for your free gold guide.
800-281-4224. 800-281-4224. 800-281-4224. That's 800-281-4224.
Wake up call. There is a Missouri couple, Tony, that recently celebrated, you ready for this? Their 80th wedding anniversary.
Oh, wow.
80 years of marriage needs to be highlighted.
Are they saying things like, the secret to 80 years of marriage is
they have it.
Lots of bourbon and sex?
Nope, because that would be fantastic.
Or, when you hear somebody like, how did you live to be 110? Oh, I ate cheeseburgers every day and drank a lot of booze.
Bertha gave her secret to a successful marriage, which is never go to bed angry.
Yeah, well, that is kind of true.
I wish it was bourbon and sex. That would be fantastic.
Wouldn't it be? I mean,
honey,
yeah, how many men would take that article and go, hey, you want to live to be 100?
And be married to this guy for 80 years?
Look at this couple. Look what their secret is. Wink, wink.
Wake up call with Tony D and Ron Colbert. Weekdays from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern.
The diehards.
And then all of a sudden, a sweeper pitch comes in. What's a sweeper? And I looked at her and I went, I don't know. Hey, Siri, what's a sweeper pitch? What is going on? Like, I felt like I was lost. And I'm like, I cover sports. I know this. And again, I'm a knucklehead fan on the radio, but I'm like, what is this? And then I'm seeing slurve. And I'm going, what? Like, am I gone?
The Diehards. Weeknights from 8 to 10 Eastern on the Sports Map Radio Network.
The diehards.
I'm a monkey running around. It's tough. They can't control me. You know what I mean? I'm an idiot. I'm an idiot as it is, so it's hard enough to control anyway.
When I'm waiting to come on as a guest, I can hear you.
You can hear everything. We're doing everything. We're talking this. We're talking that. We're putting bets in. We're doing shots. No, we're not doing shots. We do shots after the show. But no, it's hard. It's being a producer in radio is really hard, and I'm being very serious. I've been doing this a long time. I've had some brilliant producers. I've had some tough ones that it's hard. It's a hard job. And managing idiots like me that sometimes it's out of your control, and it sucks too because they don't get paid that much. they need to be paid more. I wish we should start like a producer GoFundMe for producers. But some of them really good, dropping sound effects.
The Diehards, weeknights from 8 to 10 Eastern on the Sports Map Radio Network.
Wake up call.
It was an era where Tom Cruise was the best at anything his character did. He was the best bartender, the best pool player, the best fighter pilot, the best NASCAR driver. Like whatever movie he was in, he had like
high school con man.
Yeah, okay, right, yeah. He had the natural gift to be the most excellent at that, and then his character had other ills.
Wake up call with Tony D and Ron Colbert. Weekdays from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern.
Youngstown, Warren, and Salem's local and national sports talk can be found on TuneIn and the Live 365 app at Western Reserve Radio. WRDB, The Scourge.
Hello, Phantom fans, and welcome to Season 6, Episode 15 of the Dump and Chase podcast. My name is Sam Olmstead, and joining me as always are two men who are not happy with the recording schedule this weekend, Justin Irwin and Dan Conley. So I have to ask, will you both be back next week, or am I about to become a solo act?
I'm sure I put up with worse.
Not
much.
I'm hooked at the hip now. You got me till you cut the cord.
But put up with. You see how lovingly he was when he said that? Put up with. Alrighty, so
Sam Camel Olmstead, sorry.
Dan the Toe Conley. So this episode is going to be just a little different than we typically do. We're going to have a couple guests on this show, so the typical format we're not really going to be following so much. And because of that, we're going to go into the weekend recap right now.
Might as well pull the Band-Aid off.
Yeah. So the Phantoms, a 3-game trip up to Green Bay. Didn't start out great, ended a lot better. The Friday, that was a 5-4 overtime loss. The game on Saturday was a 5-2 loss. And then the game on Sunday was a 6-4 win. So as much as doom and gloom as I think everybody felt coming out of Saturday, when it's all said and done, the Phantoms, out of 6 points, picked up 3.
We get 3, but then again, they got a lot more. So
I think this weekend was filled with some of the highest highs and some of the lowest lows.
Yeah,
that we've seen so far this year.
So with the Phantoms picking up the win on Sunday, that snapped a 7-game losing streak. So glad to see that over and done with. We always talk about there's no guaranteed wins in this league, but the Phantoms' next 3 games being against the U17s. Fingers crossed this may be how they get their glow back.
I'm not complaining.
No, we kind of saw it when we lost our first 2 games of the Fall Classic. We said maybe coming back playing the 17s would be some good medicine for us to take.
Yeah.
Will it happen twice in the same season?
Yeah.
I hope so.
It's one of those things on the schedule. I guess we're glad at this point. But yeah, after this weekend, I think we need something to really, really solidify. We played a good last 2 periods of Sunday's game. Today's still Sunday, right?
Oh, at the moment,
yeah. Yeah. It was a long weekend, so hopefully we can, just cut all of this. I'm starting rambling.
You got it, pal. This part will not be in the episode at all. Yes, throughout the weekend, kind of seeing some lines shuffled around. Come into the game on Sunday. When you have Ryan Rusinski centering this line of Zach Marin and Adam Patella, what a combination that ended up being.
They definitely got it fired up in that Sunday game.
Yeah, this line has a little bit of everything. You have a 200-foot player in Rusinski. You got a goal scorer in Patella, who's like a honey badger out there, and you got Marin, who's a fast skater out there getting into areas. And I didn't think it was going to work on paper, but that's why they play the game, and that's why I'm sitting here watching the game.
Agreed.
Yeah, Zach Marin with a goal and an assist. Ryan Rusinski with 2 goals. Adam Patella with 2 assists. Who would figure when this line's put together, Adam Patella is the one gathering up all the apples?
Yeah. Leads the team in goals, but we'll see from here.
How happy was Zach Moran getting that goal?
Oh,
that poor kid has been snake bitten for weeks. I believed I used this phrase a couple years back. The look on he looked like he slept with a coat hanger in his mouth. the smile that kid had on his face when he finally got one to go.
Especially this weekend, it just looked like he was gripping the stick a little tight. Had chances, but finally got that one goal.
Yeah, I thought that was the best last 2 periods of play that I've seen him play all year. And we talked about it before. He's always getting in the right areas. He's always got chances to score. We knew it was going to start falling at some point in time, but like you said, glad that monkey got off his back.
Now, if we could just do away with the completely stupid penalties. That's all that's all I'm going to say about that.
Is that a broken record playing?
I think we were doing scissors, papers, rock to see who brought this up. Not really. Sam leads. Yeah.
Watching that penalty, that stung about as much as a puck to a ref's kneecap.
At least it was both sides doing dumb things.
Yeah. All right. So that'll do it for the weekend recap.
That was well done.
And the reason for that, coming up in this episode, he is back. He returns. We will be welcoming back the head coach of the Youngstown Phantoms, Ryan Ward. And then this coming Sunday, Phantoms home and home series with U17s. They'll be up in Plymouth on Friday. They'll be in Youngstown on Saturday. On Sunday at 2 p.m. at the Cavelli Center, the Phantoms will be playing in a charity game with the Youngstown Boom sled hockey team. So we will be welcoming from Adaptive Sports Ohio, Steve Oleski, to the show to talk about what it is that Adaptive Sports does, talk about the sled hockey team. That interview actually has already been recorded as we do this, but a really great conversation there. Looking forward to everybody hearing that and hoping we see everybody, a lot of people, everybody, whoever, out at the Cavelli Center on Sunday for that. Nothing? Nobody? Anybody? Okay. So with that, we're going to step aside for a quick moment. When we return, we will be joined by Phantoms head coach Ryan Ward. So keep it here with the Dump and Chase podcast on Western Reserve Radio.
This is Voice of the Phantoms and friend of the show, Matt Lipsack, and you are listening to the Dump and Chase podcast on Western Reserve Radio.
Welcome back to the Dump and Chase podcast on the home of the Youngstown Phantoms, Western Reserve Radio. So once again, I believe this is number 5 now. We are welcoming back to the show Youngstown Phantoms head coach Ryan Ward. Ryan, first of all, welcome back to the show. And I mean, a couple really long weekends for you. So I guess it's right off the bat, good to be back home again.
It's fantastic to be back home. We've had a couple adventures here the last 2 weeks, and having game canceled and getting stuck in Des Moines for about 4 days, and then a 20-hour bus ride home. So just to do it all again and go to Green Bay. So we're excited to be home. I love how our team handled the adversity of what we went through, and we're certainly excited to be back on home soil and ready to go here.
Now, after spending 4 days in Des Moines, were you doing some real estate prospecting, or are you thinking that's someplace you might, after you hang up the whistle, that you might retire to? Or
I think after spending 4 days in Des Moines, everyone's excited that we're in Youngstown.
Oh, come on! They got a beautiful barn there.
Yeah, it's probably the worst rink I've ever seen. But I'll tell you one thing, though, we had great. We were so lucky when we were there. The general manager of the hotel that we were staying in the Holiday Inn, his name was Lonnie. And I'll tell you what, if we were anywhere else, we would have been royally screwed. But Lonnie took care of our guys. He did a great job, he and his staff. It was a long few days, and Lonnie did a great job. So the hospitality in Des Moines was fantastic. I'm not sure that that trip would have gone as smoothly without him. So we definitely thank him for that. And but yeah, when it comes to being happy where your feet are here, coaching and playing in Youngstown, I don't think there's a member of the Phantoms that would trade this place for that.
Now, were you one of the mall rats with the guys when they were out running around, or?
No, I decided not to put myself in danger and getting hit by a plow or something. We saw Jeremy Renner, that happen to him. No. No, to be honest, we just hunkered down. As a staff, we did a lot of video, played some cards, but you just weren't sure what was going to happen. We were kind of preparing that first day up until pretty much 2 p.m. that we were playing that game, and then they canceled it. So we weren't sure what was going to happen if we had to prepare for Waterloo, which we were already kind of prepped, but then it changes logistically, and then all of a sudden we're playing Des Moines. So it was just really kind of everything was up in the air the whole time until that Saturday when we knew we were playing Des Moines and not doing anything else. And then Saturday, they closed the interstate, so we had to make right before the game, we had to change all of our logistics from a bus company and a hotel and to stay in Des Moines. And then the next day we drove 140 miles in 6 hours. So it was interesting. It's one of those things that you roll with. I'm thankful that we have such a great group of kids and great staff. Obviously we lost, I'm glad that the 4 people that were representing us in the BioSteel game were able to get out and fly to Detroit so they could make that game. Still not sure why they had to fly in Saturday, but anyway, it worked out for everything, and made for a challenging way home. But we got here, and we're happy that part is over.
Now, we had last week's episode, we had talked to Miles, and he had talked about, because you guys had only dressed 4 defensemen in Des Moines, that you had to run like these, like 4 forwards and a defenseman. When did it kind of come to the realization that you guys were going to need to do that? And like, what was that like, kind of like breaking that news to the team of, hey, here's what we're doing?
Yeah, it was really interesting, actually. I mean, with the cancellation of the game on Friday, Strathman's suspension got pushed, but we didn't know if they were going to allow us to stay his suspension for a game, which ultimately they didn't do. So we were hoping even that morning that we were going to be able to get Stratty back, and then we would have 5 defensemen for the game, which would have been fine. But playing a 60-minute game with 4 defensemen is almost physically impossible. So we decided to go with units of 5, with 4 forwards and a D, and then spot in the extra forward, spot in the extra D. And to be honest, it worked pretty well. I think that, if you had time to actually practice it and perfect it actually would be quite interesting. But it was basically positionless. And I actually thought like some of the things we did in that game were really well executed. I thought our guys bought into it. They were actually super excited about it because at the end of the day, I told them, I said, hey, I don't care if you make mistakes. I want you to play as hard as you can and go out there and play for each other. We're obviously, it's unprecedented that a team in a league of this caliber has to play with 4 defensemen. So, we went out there, did the best we can. We got out to that 4-1 lead. And then I think a couple things went wrong and a couple goals that I think we'd like to have back. And I think ultimately we fell on the short end of that one, but we were right there all game. And it just went through a lot, but the guys responded well. I thought, playing that style was kind of fun for the day. And it was a game that I haven't even watched one single clip of that game. So something that we threw away and moved on from. And I thought we had a much, much better showing this weekend in Green Bay.
Well, when we interviewed Miles last week, he even said it was kind of a learning experience, having to play a different style, different position. Hopefully that's something that we can grow on.
Yeah, I think we took a few things out of that. Like, I think we took a few things out of it from a playmaking standpoint, from a support standpoint, forwards being in different situations. I think, when you have that kind of two-way communication with the players, you do learn from it. And I think for us, we can add a couple of things offensively that helped out quite a bit. We just made some critical mistakes. That would have been a huge game to win. But ultimately, that was a game that the guys put everything on the line and they did their best. And, the whole travel and everything like that, the last 10 days has been hard on the guys. And especially with such a young team, they're not used to it. So excited about how they've battled through it, though. I'll tell you what, like, they're a resilient group. So looking forward to the next little bit here.
Yeah, you guys definitely made lemonade from that situation that was handed to you. My background comes from soccer. And when I'm coaching my high school team, there was a thing that the Dutch used to do in the 1960s called total soccer, where it was everybody has no position on the field. It's just whatever position needs to be filled, doesn't matter by who. And I'd always teach them that. And then lo and behold, I see the lineup chart. I was like, are we seeing total hockey? I took a screenshot of that. I told the kids I'm so in touch with them, like, this actually has uses outside of soccer, and it really does happen in real life and at very high levels of other sports out there.
Yeah, I will be honest with you. I watched about 3 hours of soccer clips on YouTube that morning. That's where it kind of came from. And we actually the positions of that weekend were we had a left wing, a center, a striker, and a right wing, and a defender. So that's how even on our line chart, that's how it was listed: left wing, center, striker, right wing. So they at least knew who to change for. So it was something that we talked about. And, unfortunately, like, when you're playing such a fast game on a smaller surface, it's a lot harder to go over the support and the reads and the coverages. So we had the forward breaking pucks out off D-zone faceoffs. Like, they've never done that. So it was something that just little nuances and things like that, I think we could probably get better at. But at the end of the day, we did the best we could, and I did what I thought was the best thing to give us a chance to win, and we almost did.
Yeah, that makes my heart happy to hear that's what you did. And because we probably see the same videos.
Oh yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, I only know of that concept from Ted Lasso because I don't watch soccer. So,
yeah, Ted Lasso, you got to believe.
All right, so last question on this whole Des Moines deal. Somebody that we're all very interested in, being a Youngstown native, Cal Houston. What was that like, kind of bringing him in? Like, hey, welcome to the USHL. Oh, by the way, here's what we're doing.
Yeah, I feel like Cal's gotten a raw, kind of deal of all this. I think Cal had a great training camp. He got hit pretty hard in training camp and suffered a concussion.
Yep.
I think that set him back a little bit. And then obviously coming up for what was supposed to be 2 pretty normal games, he's thrown into the middle of Ted Lasso. So I think Cal did a great job. He's an unbelievable kid. He works so hard. We're all pulling for him, and at the end of the day, he's got a couple of years left here, and Cal's great. I skated Cal over Christmas break with Jenko and Baronin because they couldn't go home for Christmas, and I love Cal. Cal's got a big fan in me, and I think he's in a good spot in Maryland. He's developing, and then hopefully next year he's able to make that jump. But Cal, we're all huge fans of Cal Houston.
All right. See, now I have to ask, if you're Ted Lasso, who's your Coach Beard?
You know what? I don't watch the show. I've just watched.
See, I thought we were going to get into something there.
No.
All right. So yeah, this last weekend, 3 games up in Green Bay. First I'll ask, because the rink is like right there with Lambeau Field. So, I mean, are you guys doing a little bit of sightseeing when you're up there?
I'm sure some guys did. I don't really leave the hotel much. It is a great town. There's no question. Like, we were able to be there for the Packers game. They moved our game to 3 p.m. We were able to watch the Packers game at the hotel restaurant. And it was electric. Like, it's such a cool sports town with a ton of history, a ton of passion. I enjoy Green Bay. I think it's awesome. And it is pretty cool. Like, everywhere you look, you see some part of Lambeau Field. I'm a huge football fan. Obviously, huge fan of the New England Patriots, and more specifically Bill Belichick, Tom Brady, and those guys. And to be able to see Lambeau Field and to see how connected everything is was pretty special. And to be there for a Packers playoff game, obviously they were on the road. It would have been absolutely nuts if they were home. But it was cool. It was a cool experience. Like, those are the things that, working in sports and being able to travel across North America is something that you gain perspective and no one ever can really take from you. And I think being able to be there and see that was pretty cool. Yeah, it was Green Bay is a special, special sports town.
All right. So the Green Bay series, losing overtime on Friday, not much going right on Saturday. You come into Sunday, the team's up 4-2. What is the message to the team? Just because, in the past, handful of weeks, there have been a couple times where the team had a 4-1 lead and lost it. Yeah. So at that point, you're up 4-2. I mean, what's, institutional memory? Like, what's the conversation with the team, especially when Green Bay came back and tied the game at 4?
Yeah, I think that game was different than any of the other games. I think the other 4-1 leads, we were kind of holding on. That game, we were like dominant. I knew that Sunday would be the game that got us out of it. Like, just watching us play in the second period, and the difference between a groove and a rut is extremely difficult to tell, right? And I think we were in a rut a little bit there for the last few weeks, but that game felt different. The bench was different. The energy was different. The confidence was different. And we were playing. We made more plays in that Sunday game than we've made in 2 years. Like, we were out of it. We were coming out of it. And I think, quite honestly, I think the only way to get out of that rut would have been to have Sunday happen like it happened, where we went through an emotional test when they tied the game, and were strong enough and resilient enough to be like, it doesn't matter. And like, this is our game. And I think that says a lot about where we're headed. And I think it says a lot about where we came from. And I think that this little rough patch was probably monstrous for our young players to go through, because you have to. Like, I told the guys a story last week. When I coached in Sault Ste. Marie, we were 55-7. We were the number 1 team in the CHL from the first rankings to the last. And we had not gone through one single day of adversity. Not one. We get to the Owen Sound series. We go 7 games. We get to the game 1 of the Kitchener series. Hayden Verbeek broke his wrist. We had a couple guys Barrett Hayton had his jaw, he couldn't open his mouth. Noah Carroll had a shoulder injury. Boris Kachuk had a shoulder injury. So we get through Kitchener game 7, game 1 of the Hamilton OHL finals. Connor Timmins gets absolutely blindsided by Stillman, and he's out. He ended up being out for a year and a half with a concussion. And our team had no idea how to adjust to it. We had no clue. We had never had any adversity all year, and we just weren't strong enough as a group to get out of it. And we talked about that last week for the Green Bay series. And if you look at how this year has gone from mid-December, honestly, from the end of November until last Friday, this Sunday, we haven't played a single game or had a single practice with our full team. And if you count Nathan Lewis, we still won't until mid-March. But at the end of the day, we have gone through things this year that I have never gone through as a coach, whether it be 5 guys missing for a World Junior A Challenge tournament or, injuries, suspensions. We had Sasha and Zach have to go to U17s, and we had Sasha going to a 5 Nations tournament after Christmas, and then Charlie gets suspended for 3. It's just been one thing after another. And I think that to go through that now is pretty important. Listen, we started last year 2-7, and the same as this year. What are we, 18-10 right now? We're halfway through the year, almost on the dot. I don't know. Last year we were significantly worse than this, or at least a 500 at best. Well, 2 games over 500. I don't know. You guys probably know, but we're in a significantly better spot than we were last year right now. And I think that having gone through the adversity, not necessarily the winning and losing, but not having our full team and not having to be able to deploy our personnel properly, that's something that no one really realizes. And to me, I think it's a great thing. I think you go through that, obviously, you want to beat Omaha. Omaha played their asses off. That just is what it is. There's 2 teams trying to win a game, and then sometimes you're on the right side of it. Sometimes you're on the wrong side of it. I got suspended for something bogus in Muskegon. And both those games we could have easily won. So it's you're in quicksand a bit when you're trying to get out of these. You try to work so hard and sometimes the harder you work, the deeper you fall. And I think for us, we just needed to play hockey. We just needed to play as a team and realize that the world's not ending, and we have a great group. It's not like the group in the locker room saying, I hate the coach, I hate Youngstown, I hate this, demanding trades. That's not where we're at. We're with a group of guys that want to be part of the solution more than anything on earth. And I think that for us, it was just necessary to go through it and learn that hey, we're stronger for it. And I think when you look at how last weekend shook out, we obviously should have won Friday night's game. That was a complete debacle. We should have been 2-1 on that trip. And I think when you play a team of Green Bay's caliber, don't forget, we swept Green Bay in a 3-3 last year. They're playing the defending champs. They want to win a championship. They're on home ice. They're going to do whatever they possibly can to win. And that's a tough place to play. That's a good team. Last year, they scored with 0.8 seconds left and beat us the first shift of overtime. That's how the game goes. You've got 2 teams that, they're extremely well coached. Mike Leone is the best coach in the league, I think. And he does a great job. And those teams, they're good and they want to win. For us, I feel 100% that we should have come out of that weekend being 2-1 on the road. 1-1 is fine, but being 2-1 would have been hey, we're fine, And I think for us, we just had to go through what we had to go through. And now coming back, I think our entire team feels real good about where we're at. And the feeling after that game Sunday and during that game and how we were just rolling over. When you look at the analytics of that Sunday game, it was not close. It was like the Soviets playing the U.S. the first time in Madison Square Garden. So I've got no issues with where we're at. I think winning that game Sunday was massive for the locker room. It was massive for the guys because they've been working so hard to try to get out of the ditch that they're in. And, I think they did that, and to be able to earn that good feeling the way we did with a little bit of extra adversity, I think is exactly how it had to go.
All right, so we're going to take a short break. More with Phantoms head coach Ryan Ward coming up with the Dump and Chase podcast on Western Reserve Radio.
This is Matt Lipsack, the voice of the Youngstown Phantoms, and your home for Phantoms hockey is Western Reserve Radio.
We're back with the Dump and Chase podcast and Phantoms head coach Ryan Ward. So one final little bit about the Green Bay series. Does it kind of feel like that maybe was Ryan Rusinski's coming out party?
Yeah, I thought Rizzo played really well. I thought Rizzo was like above pucks. He worked his butt off. I thought that was kind of a game where, to me as a coach, I'm like, wow, Rizzo really, he's figuring it out here. And quite honestly, like his game kept him in the lineup on Sunday, and obviously we're thankful it did because he had a great game on Sunday. And I mean, that's what you look for with these young players is when they show you when they're ready. You know what I mean? Like the younger guys, the rookies, the guys they show you when they're ready to play more, when they're ready for more responsibility. It's not, I can show them clips and I can hound them and I can prod them, but at the end of the day, they show you when they're ready. And I think Rizzo is starting to show that. He's done a great job. He's done everything we asked of him. And it's hard. It's a hard league to play in. And I think Rizzo commanded his spot in the lineup on Sunday, and he certainly commanded it moving forward. And I tell the guys, like, when you get these opportunities, you have to keep putting money in the bank with your coaching staff, right? Because at the end of the day, I don't care what anyone says, the coaches play the people they trust the most, right? So when you have a guy that keeps putting money in the bank from a trust standpoint, their leash gets longer, and with that comes more opportunity. With that comes more confidence for them. And he's just starting to put money in the bank. And I think that's what is really important for Rizzo.
Now, because we saw the line chart before the game and we see that line and it's like, well, that's kind of, to us, to the uneducated, it's like, well, that looks like an interesting, type of line. What was it about, Ryan and Zach and Adam that just worked so well together in that game?
Yeah, I think Adam, I mean, when you go through it, right, like you're looking at a number of things. Number one, like, who do I think I can get an advantage of over Green Bay with the combinations that we might have? Who is going to be okay if Green Bay puts their first line, because I don't get last change on the road. So if they try to match their lines and they think that line is a weaker line, or they think our top line, I mean, whatever they're thinking. But I felt really good about that depth with that line because Zach had his best weekend of the year. And Adam is leading our team in goals. And I thought Ryan and Adam complimented Zach really well the night before. So it was just something I saw that I felt really good about that line. They had some mojo, they had it working, they had some chemistry. And to be honest, like the night before, they were probably our best line. And I just kind of felt like they had a little mojo, and it was something I felt really good about the next day. In fact, so much so that we played 12-8, which I don't know, a good test for you guys would be to look at what our record is going 12-8 versus 13-7. I think that would be interesting. I might get a lipper on it, but
yeah, please do.
But
I've got enough to do.
I felt really good about just going with those four lines. And I thought the other thing that I thought was really cool to see was Miles Gunty. He looks like Rick Nash right now. He's been really good on the walls. And I think when we flipped Miles up to that Serrato-Jenko line, I thought changed everything. And, that's a credit to how hard Miles has worked. And I thought Serrato was a beast all game. So, no, I thought we just had some things that just kind of clicked. And I mean, to be completely honest with you, with guys in and out of lineup so much here, I'm still like at this point searching for our best combinations. And just because we haven't had the ability to play our full team night after night. So it's been a bit of a challenge finding chemistry, and I feel really good about where we're at right now.
I have one final thing to say about that game. Sorry. The fifth goal that you guys scored, Zach, and you talk about the chemistry between Zach and Adam. I think if Adam was a left-handed shot, Zach played that backhand pass perfectly. I think if Adam was a left-handed shot, that puck finds the back of the net then. But more importantly, you guys practiced that ass pass that Adam made to Zach when he's battle on the ground. It lays a perfect pass over to Zach, who one times it.
Yeah, I think that's a question for our Swedish skills coach, Carl Linden. I don't really micromanage him very much, but I have heard that he's been known to practice the ass pass.
Zach getting that goal, I imagine that had be a bit of a relief to him. He's somebody who just seems like lately he's just been snake bitten. I don't know, just maybe gripping the stick just a little too tight out there. But I mean, I had to imagine that was a relief for him.
Yeah, I don't know if it was a bigger relief for him or for me. No, it's funny. Zach has always been a superstar. And I think that people don't understand how good this league is. Like, the league is so good. And Zach has been physically gifted and strong, and he has put so much pressure on himself that when you don't have immediate success in the best junior league in the world, he feels really bad about that. He's like, why I'm hurting my team, I'm letting people down. And it's like, Zach, this is how it goes. So I think to see the goal was a culmination of the weekend and how well he played on the weekend. And I think he deserved that. Like, he worked that hard this weekend. He was doing all the right things. And for him to get that goal is exactly what you say as a coach. When you do all the right things, when you don't cheat the game, when you work as hard as you possibly can, you get rewarded. The game doesn't cheat you. And that Zach scoring that goal is exactly what we're talking about with Zach. And he deserved that goal. And I am super happy that he got that game-winning goal.
All right. So, I mean, moving forward here, especially over the next couple weeks, next 3 games against the U17s, and then we have Cedar Rapids coming into town. Is this kind of like a glow up period for the team? Maybe kind of make themselves feel pretty again. You don't want to get, you can't guarantee a win in this league at all, no matter who you're playing. We saw that with Omaha. But is that going to be a focus? You really have an opportunity, especially over the next 3 games with the U17s, to try to, undo some of what the 7-game losing streak did.
Yeah, I think we certainly won't look at it like that. A glowing up period. I like that, though.
You're welcome.
We are going to continuously try to build. And I think now that we should have somewhat of a roster that will be kind of cemented here. I think that now's the time for us to build. And I think now's the time for us to have a little bit of consistency. And that's what we're going to look for. Whether we win or lose right now doesn't really matter to me. It's the consistency of effort, the quality of play, and the consistency by which we go about our business here the next month. And that's going to tell us everything we need to know about the season and where we're going to be. But I think for us, it's the first time that these guys will all have been together in a long time, able to be consistent and to prove that they can be consistent. And for us, we need to, if we feel that if we do, practice the way we need to practice and play the way we need to play, the rest will take care of itself. So I think for us, we're looking for, in this next little home stretch, a level of consistency that is on par with the expectation that we have for this team.
All right. So kind of going along that type of theme, and I know we did this to you one of the other times you were on as far as a fan question, which actually ended up just being Lipper with a higher pitched voice.
Yeah.
We actually do have one. This is, we're referring to her as our junior reporter.
Okay.
This is Marley Dunn. She had a question for you, and this is what that was.
Hi, Coach Ward. My name's Marley. What do you think our team could be doing differently to obtain more wins?
Yeah, that's Marley. Appreciate the question. I think our team needs to understand how hard it is to win on a consistent basis. I think we have to buy into the little details of blocking shots and winning races, winning battles, and consistently putting together a effort that is on par with being a championship team. And I think we understand what it takes. I don't think we are quite at the point right now of doing it organically every single day. And I'm looking forward to this stretch of getting our entire team back together and our lineup back together, where we don't have any distractions. And I think that will kind of take care of itself.
I think you already know the answer to this question because some of the stuff you've already said, but how much are sports science and advanced stats involved in what you do as a coach?
Yeah, I would say that we have the luxury of being probably the largest staff in the USHL, from athletic training to, we have a sports science branch of our team with Mike Macchione and Tommy Malloy. We have pieces of equipment in our gym that we use every week to give us, I can tell you if a guy's left knee is about to get hurt. So it's something that we do every week, every day. Analytics. I mean, I get analytic reports at 7:00 after every single game that are probably have 75 points of data that I value. And then I have ice time reports that I get in every situation, zone starts, things like that. So I would say it's a huge part of what we do. I think for me, one of the things that where we've gone too far with analytics is I think there is a human connection and a human element that, especially in junior hockey, where you have to drive players to be uncomfortable and they have to be willing to get uncomfortable. And I think, that comes from a performance testing, that comes from a analytic output. I think analytics are a big part of the story, but I don't think analytics tell the whole story. I think analytics are a great eye test for us as coaches to say, hey, we're doing something wrong here, obviously, or hey, we're doing something right here. We should build on that. So I use it as a detail in how we build our team and how we build our day to day. But I think that when you are strictly quantifying things or data driven, I think you're leaving out the whole point of team sports, which is, I mean, you win and lose based on how good your character is, how coachable you are, how good of a teammate you are, and how competitive you are. I don't care what analytic. I mean, if anyone would have said that the Youngstown Phantoms would have beat the Chicago Steel last year, our odds would have been plus 65,000. We won a championship because our team was the best team. The players loved each other. We certainly loved our players, and they competed harder than anyone else in the history of the USHL has ever competed. And I think that's why we won. So I as much as we use all that stuff, and I'm a huge proponent of it, I look at it every day, and we look at it every week, and we look at it in 10 game segments, and we look at it in, I mean, I have a scoring chance report that looks like, I don't know, Archimedes built it. Like it's I mean, like I've got all that. We do all that. I don't want our players to think that they're a good player because they had 7 scoring chances in a game. I want them to be a good player because they're an unbelievable teammate and they'll do whatever it takes for their team to win. I think that's important, especially at this level where they have to go on to college and professional hockey and be part of a team and learn how to not be you're talking about when you go up to college and the pros, you're just a piece of the puzzle. And Will Whitelaw might have to be a fourth liner in the NHL for 10 years. But guess what? If he does that, he probably makes $40 million, So I think part of our job here is to get these guys to believe that you're part of something bigger than yourself. And analytics don't have a measurement for that.
All right. So not only the home and home series with U17s this weekend, there's also the charity game on Sunday with the Youngstown Boom sled hockey team. How much are you looking forward to that?
Yeah, I think it's great. I think it's something that we last year I knew was a great experience. Our guys always have a blast. I mean, one of the things that always comes back from that event is that our guys really you don't realize how hard it is to do that, And I think, when they're playing in that event, they absolutely love it. So we're excited about this weekend, obviously, to be finally back at Cavelli. I think it's something that we are excited about, and that Sunday, the sled hockey game is something that we always take a lot of pride in. So super excited about the weekend. The 17s will be a good test. They're playing good hockey, and I'm sure any Team USA team doesn't like to be in the basement. So they'll be coming at us pretty hard, and we know this is about the time of year where they really turn the corner. So, they'll be excited to play the defending champs, and I'm sure they'll want to take a pound of flesh.
Now, is it a little intimidating for the guys when you're, playing like these sled hockey teams that even these kids have like upper body strength that you could only dream of?
Yeah, I don't think it's intimidating. I think the one thing that I heard is like, wow, these guys really go hard. They're like super competitive. Like they'll dig. It's no joke. Our guys were last year were like, oh yeah, it'll be fun, and then they're like, Jesus, they go hard. And I think it's great though. I think the perspective, I think that's so great for our guys to. Anytime you get outside your comfort zone, you can try something new, and obviously it just gives you different perspective. And for us, that's what it's all about. I think our guys always look forward to it, and I can't wait to hear the stories on Monday about, Jesus, that guy almost took my hand off or that guy, you know what I mean? Like, it's great. So we're definitely super excited about it, and we love the opportunity.
So you're not going to be out there participating?
I will not be participating.
See, I was hoping to make my coaching debut this weekend, but I guess not now. Thanks a lot.
No, you can coach.
Oh,
I'll
okay.
scout.
Who do I need to talk to? I'm absolutely going to take whoever up on this.
That would be a Kelsey thing.
Oh,
you
okay.
can definitely coach. I will be fine scouting.
Okay. All right. So before we get out of here, is there anything you'd like to say to the fans? Hopefully the worst of these days are behind us now. Looking forward to a lot better days. So is there anything you'd like to say to the fans before we get out of here?
No, I think we're always appreciative of the support. And the one thing I think that's really important is the expectations in Youngstown should be that we're going to win every night. And I think that that's why we came here. And we want to be an organization that our fans hold us accountable to that. Like, we certainly work hard enough behind the scenes where, losing at home doesn't, when we lost those 2 games to Omaha, and like, losing at home isn't something that you are just okay with. I mean, that's a lot of sleepless nights, and our players take that seriously. Our coaches take that seriously. And for us, like, we want the pressure and the expectations of being a team that wins every single night. And to be completely honest with you, it'll never be any different as long as I'm here. And it's something we take pride in. It's something that we want. Like, people should be pissed off. People should want us to do better. And I certainly want us to do better. Our players want us to do better. And right now, I think going through the adversity, and you're going to see a team that cares every single night. You're going to see a team that wants to win. It's not going to happen every night, but at the end of the day, like, you're going to get our very best, the majority of nights. And we want you to be there and come out and support us. And I mean, obviously, when there's 1,500 plus in the Cavelli Center, that place is rocking. And I think that's all we could ask for is your continued support, and the expectation that we should win every night. And that should be, we're certainly going to play to that standard. And if we don't, then everyone has a gripe. But for us, we feel good about where we're at. I think this past weekend in Green Bay was fantastic. Obviously there are things that we can't control that happen that sometimes make it harder to have success. But at the end of the day, we feel really good about where we're at today, and excited for the next month and a half here.
All right, Ryan, thanks so much.
No, thank you guys. I appreciate having me on. It's always a pleasure. And hopefully we can do another one of these when we're geared up for the another run.
Absolutely. All right, so we're going to step aside for another break. When we come back, we will be joined by Stephen Oleski from Adaptive Sports Ohio to talk about the sled hockey charity game on Sunday. So keep it here with the Dump and Chase podcast on Western Reserve Radio.
Welcome to Calvin's Barbershop.
You all got to see this.
I don't even want to know what you're looking at on that phone.
Well, you should. I was learning about the dangers of high blood pressure and that we need to get ours checked regularly. High blood pressure can increase the risk of heart attack or stroke, but this text program can help keep it at a healthy range. Just text Barbershop to 97779 to sign up.
I'll get right on it as soon as I'm done with this baby panda video.
Text Barbershop to 97779. A message from the American Heart Association and the Ad Council.
This is Voice of the Phantoms and friend of the show, Matt Lipsack, and you are listening to the Dump and Chase podcast on Western Reserve Radio.
This is the Dump and Chase podcast on the home of Phantoms hockey, Western Reserve Radio. So as we mentioned earlier, this Sunday at 2 p.m. at the Cavelli Center will be the 7th annual charity game between the Youngstown Boom Sled hockey team and the Youngstown Phantoms. So joining us to talk about that game and more is the Director of Competitions and the Regional Sports Manager for the Mahoning Valley for Adaptive Sports Ohio is Mr. Steve Oleski. Steve, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me, guys. I appreciate the opportunity and happy to talk with you.
All right, so we'll get started with, can you kind of describe a little bit of the history and what is Adaptive Sports Ohio?
Yeah, of course. So we're a nonprofit organization with a mission that is based around providing recreation and competitive sports opportunities to individuals with physical disabilities. Kind of the history behind that, to sum it all up, is our founder and our CEO, Lisa Followay. Her son, Casey, was born with spina bifida. and was unable to participate and enjoy a lot of the benefits of sports that most able-bodied folks are able to. And through the introduction of adaptive sports to him, it really changed his life. And he's gone on to do some great things like participate as part of Team USA for the Paralympics in track and field. And so in kind of the spirit of continuing Casey's journey, she founded our organization to make sure that everybody has a chance to play and enjoy the benefits of sports.
Now, not only you guys kind of put like these teams together, where the athletes have disabilities of varying degrees. There's also you guys will help, especially like school age children who want to play like on their own sports teams in their own schools. You guys help out with that as well.
Yeah, of course. And one of the biggest projects that we're kind of working on continually as we grow is our interscholastic sports programs within the school systems. In the spring, we'll provide track equipment, whether that be specialized racing wheelchairs for track or throwing chairs for athletes that want to compete in shot put for junior high and high school athletes. We'll provide those to athletes all across the state, as well as provide some training to them so they have a little bit of background heading into their school season, as well as our interscholastic wheelchair basketball league, which we actually have 13 teams across the state now that play a regular season, playoffs, state championship. It's highly competitive, and it's really, a great thing for kids, growing up and playing sports for your school is something that you dream of. And you look up to it, and now we're providing those opportunities to kids with disabilities that didn't have that chance before.
Now, in these type of programs and everything like that, like who are the like types of people that can participate in these programs?
Yeah, so primarily we target anybody that has a primary physical disability, and kind of what we mean by that would be some sort of limitation to your limbs, whether that's a lower limb, like some of our athletes that have spinal cord injuries or spina bifida or CP. The list of the diagnosis can go on, but pretty much anything that might prohibit somebody from participating in a traditional stand-up sport.
All right. How did you guys get involved as far as sled hockey?
Yeah. So, as far as in the adaptive sports world and in Paralympic sports, sled hockey is one of the most popular sports that there is. And so I think the Boone team's been around for just a little over 10 years now in the Youngstown area. And it's been, I've been involved with it for the last 2 years, and it's been really great to see the team growing and continuing to add more athletes and to extend our competitive reach. So providing a little bit of background on hockey for myself, I've never was a hockey fan really growing up or knew anything about hockey, to be really honest, until I got involved with Adaptive Sports Ohio and kind of fell in love with sled hockey and coaching our Boone team. The sport's been incredible, and I'm really grateful to be a part of it for sure.
And I know, like, I will watch the Paralympics more than I will pay attention to, I guess what you would call the able-bodied Olympics.
Yeah.
And yeah, sled hockey has always been my favorite to watch. I don't think people understand so much the amount of upper body strength you need to have to play sled hockey. I mean, I could think any player on the Phantoms roster right now would kill for the upper body strength that these sled hockey players have.
Yeah, it's really impressive. I mean, there's some insane athletes that when you're looking at it, when you're watching the sport, you can really tell. And I actually, at the end of our season, we go to what's called the Disabled Hockey Festival every year. Last year it was in St. Louis, and we had the opportunity to speak with one of the Team USA members. And he kind of gave us an inside look into his training regime and kind of what his everyday process looks like preparing for the Paralympics. And I mean, it's without a doubt, a lot of folks will look at people with disabilities and find it hard to see them as athletes. But I mean, the training that they go through, watching their diet, getting ice time, getting workouts in, it's really, I mean, they're training just as hard as any other Olympic athlete is for sure.
One of the things I've always wondered, one of the big issues with hockey, it's very dependent on equipment. And as sled hockey, I mean, what is the availability of the sled hockey gear? I assume you just don't go to Dick's and purchase stuff off the shelf, and then you have to maintain it.
Yeah, you're right. Which is, it's kind of one of the reasons that we're really important and fortunate to do the work that we do. As far as the actual sleds themselves, there's only a couple of companies nationwide that make them, and they're not easily accessible to order and to ship, and they're quite expensive too. Especially once you start getting into some that might be a little more custom fitted to the athlete. But so our equipment inventory is actually probably one of the most impressive things about us. So every single athlete that signs up through our program, they get every single piece of hockey equipment that they need to play the sport from head to toe from us. We fit them with sleds to the best of our abilities. We fit them with sticks. And so, we understand that barrier of getting that equipment and how expensive it is and hard to find can potentially keep a lot of athletes away from the sport. And so by providing that equipment, it allows us to continue to grow it and help these athletes get on the ice.
I mean, as far as a lot of the amazing things, that, these teams get to do, this charity game with the Phantoms every year, where does that rank for these guys, getting ready for this game?
Oh, really high, especially my kids. This is kind of one of those things where when we start sending out information for the season back in August and September, one of the first questions I always get from our teams is, are we playing the Phantoms again? I mean, they look forward to this so much, and we're so grateful to the Phantoms for opening the doors and letting us join the ice with them, and kind of showcasing our abilities and how hard our team works. And we're super fortunate to have the partnership that we have with the Phantoms and allowed to do this with them. It's really cool for me also, like I said, not having a hockey background, to kind of see these Phantom players, which I would consider to be really high level, top tier athletes, competing and hopping into sleds and watching them kind of fumble around on the ice for a little while they try to figure it out is really a good time for us every year. So it's one of those events that we absolutely look forward to, and probably one of our favorites for the year for sure.
All right. So the game is this coming Sunday at 2:00 at the Cavelli Center. It is free to get in, but of course you guys are accepting donations. Is there anything else you can tell us about what's coming up on Sunday?
Yeah, of course. It's like you said, the doors, I think the doors will open around 1:00. The game begins at 2:00. We'll have tons of baskets and raffle items in there for people to come in and bid on, which the link should be live for our online auction. You guys can find that on social media as well. And then actually one of the cooler things that we do at this event also is afterwards, after the game, for $2 ticket, people can come down and purchase a ticket for what we call tri-sled hockey, where we'll actually get them on the ice, set them down into a sled, and give them a pair of sticks and let them skate around on the ice for a few minutes. Because a lot of folks, this is their first exposure to sled hockey. And so watching it is really cool. And it may look easy from the stands, but once we get them down in, it's not the case. And so it's really cool to see some people trying it out.
Yeah, I would have to assume, watching us after one of the Phantoms games this past season, trying to skate and stuff like that, we had a hard time just doing it regularly. And they give us like little things to hold on to for that. I can't imagine. That sounds like a lot of fun going in there.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure it is.
Justin, I think we just found a way to finally get you on the ice. I will pay the $2 for you.
That's very nice of you, Sam.
I'll pay double if I can do video too. All right. So can you, before we let you go here, could you just give us a little bit of information as far as like Adaptive Sports Ohio, as far as if people would like to make donations or if people would like to volunteer or anything like that?
Yeah, of course. We can always be reached through our website, adaptivesportsohio.org, or you can email info@adaptivesportsohio.org if you're interested in getting involved, or if you know somebody who might like some information about our programs. We're all over Facebook as well, at Adaptive Sports Ohio. We can be found there. And we're constantly recruiting. One of the big parts of my job, and as well as the key components of our organization, is continuing to outreach and spread the word about our opportunities to folks, especially in Mahoning County. We're really growing at a steady pace, and it's exciting to see. But we know that there's tons more athletes out there who may not even know that they're athletes yet, and may not even understand or know that adaptive sports exists. And so by introducing them to sports and something that they can really strive for, in our mission statement, we say we remove barriers so that we can elevate ability and empower futures. And that's what we're really trying to do. So if there's anybody that may be interested in the program, we'd love to have them.
All right. Well, Steve, thank you so much for coming on here, taking the time. We really, really, really appreciate it.
Oh, thank you guys. I love what you guys are doing. I appreciate you giving us a platform to talk about what we do.
All right, so that will just about do it for this episode. We're going to step aside one more time, and then we'll wrap up the show and look ahead to next week. So keep it here one more time with the Dump and Chase podcast on Western Reserve Radio.
You're listening to Western Reserve Radio at westernreserveradio.com on the Live 365 network and the Live 365 app.
We're back, and that will do it for this edition of the Dump and Chase podcast. Big thanks to Phantoms head coach Ryan Ward and Steve Oleski from Adaptive Sports Ohio for coming on the show. And a massive thanks to all of you for spending some time with us today. So for next week's show, we will be recapping these two games with the U17s, this home and home series coming up. And then we will be previewing a 3-game weekend starting out up in Plymouth with a third straight game against the U17s before the Phantoms return to the Covelli Center for 2 games with the Cedar Rapids Rough Riders. So you can hear this show every Wednesday at 5 o'clock on Western Reserve Radio, either on westernreserveradio.com, the Live 365 or TuneIn apps, the Western Reserve Radio Facebook and Twitter pages, and the Youngstown Phantoms Facebook page. You can also catch this show in its podcast format on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. You can also follow us on social media on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. Be sure to check out the new Dump and Chase podcast merch store, t-shirts, sweatshirts, coffee mugs, decals, all sorts of stuff on there. All of these links can be found on the official website of the show. That is dumpandchasepod.com. So, gentlemen, before we get out of here, any final words of wisdom?
No, kind of looking forward to hopefully making to the sled hockey game this Sunday. Hope everyone turns out.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that as well. I've never heard about this game in the past, so bring the family. Hope have a good time with that.
I'm with Sam. Every year it's something else. So
yeah, something always ends up happening that we miss it. So
try not to make any excuses this year.
Fingers crossed. Right now, looks like the weather, no major winter storms on the horizon for the weekend. So because that's happened a couple times. All right, so I made a little boo-boo in the last episode when I did the Chat GPT written outro for the show. I probably should have explained the premise beforehand. So this week I'll explain the premise beforehand before we get into it. So this week I asked Chat GPT to write us an outro in the style of a Denny's commercial.
A Denny's commercial. Okay.
So,
all right. Moon's over my hammy. I'm looking forward to this one.
Well, folks, that wraps up another exciting episode. We've dished out all the hot takes, analyzed the plays, and stirred the pot like a stick in a puck blender. And just like the Grand Slam at Denny's, this podcast is a winning combination. A podcast that's as satisfying as a hearty breakfast after a morning skate. So whether you're a fan of hat tricks or hash browns, be sure to join us next time for more hockey highlights and delicious discussions. Until then, keep your skates sharp and your appetites ready.
I mean, not
only
is are my spirits raised, but now I'm hungry.
Hey, let me ask you something. Would you seat your 3-year-old child on a windowsill? Would you seat them beside a lit fireplace or by the deep end of a pool? One last question. Would you seat your